Welcome back to another episode of Living and Loving with yours truly, country music singer, songwriter, recording artist, Monique McCall. And today I have a very special and unique guest joining me on Living and Loving. You may have seen this guest featured on many national broadcasts such as Entertainment Tonight, The Rachel Ray Show, Good Morning America, and he has won numerous awards, including the Presidential Silver Medal of Service Award. Unbelievable. Not only that, but he happens to have his own merch, which you're going to understand why that is so incredible. And he speaks sign language. So, Cole, the deaf dog, thank you for being here with us today on Living and Loving. And Chris Hanna, his owner, is here with us as well. How are you?
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having us on today.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining me. You guys are
Absolutely.
just the epitome of what this show is all about. You're out, you're living and loving, and you're making a difference.
We're trying one paw at a time, we like to say,
Well, a
trying to make
smart
the.
man told me once the trying is the weakest form of commitment. It looks more like you're succeeding by everything that I've seen online and your social media platforms as well, which we will share with our audience later. But hey, I have a few questions for you. So,
Absolutely.
how in the world did you get to Cole? How did this bond form?
um, Going on 6 years ago, next month, actually, um, I was ready to adopt a dog in my life, and I wanted a rescue dog. And literally, the first dog at the local shelter was this little white American Bulldog pitbull mix, whose name was Harry Potter. Giant front paws in the picture, these
Mm,
huge ears, little body, and it had the word special needs listed next to his name. And as an educator, as an uncle, as a family member, those two words, special needs, really ring true in my heart because I have special needs members of my own family.
mhm,
So when I saw those two words, it really intrigued me. So I clicked on it, and it just so happened to be that he was born deaf, and they were unable to place him in a home because he was born without the ability to hear. And my nephew at the time was 9 years old, and my nephew and I are very close.
mhm.
And my nephew was also born deaf. So when I saw this correlation and this connection, I swear it was destiny driven that day.
So you weren't looking for Cole. He just showed up in your life. You were ready to accept and create something special with
Mhm.
Cole. Now, did you anticipate when you adopted him that it would become what it is today? I mean, the message that you're sharing, the lives that you're changing.
Um, I always laugh because people ask us, how do you plan for this? And what can I do to make my dog do this? Or what can I do to make my program work like this?
Mhm,
And I always say that nothing that we did from day one was ever planned. It's
mhm,
all been organically blessed to happen.
mhm,
Um, the day that I met the puppy, I went home and I was actually having dinner with my nephew that night, and the puppy didn't come home for about a week and a half.
mhm,
He had to get neutered and stuff. So I went home. I told my nephew, and to see the way my nephew lit up, and his world just exploded.
mhm,
Um, it was he ran over, grabbed a tablet of paper, and started writing down all these signs that he had to teach me to teach the dog. And then the next day in school, and the advantage of my job is I get to see all 600 students. So the
mhm,
next day, I made my screensaver a picture of the puppy, and I started telling my students, this is what I'm bringing into my life right now. And I started telling them about the words that were listed under his name, special needs, and that he was born deaf. And it was that day that my world literally completely changed
mhm,
because the students started asking me these incredible questions about what does special needs mean? What does it mean to be born deaf? Because so many of them have never been exposed to someone with special needs or was born with a disability or was
mhm.
born deaf. So they started asking these incredible questions, and I realized right then and there that there's a special, not to sound cliche, there's a
Yeah.
special need to bring enlightenment to these children and to bring a message to them.
Mhm,
And Cole just started doing that a week before he even came home to me. So his journey has been one driven by destiny.
Yeah, and so he comes to work with you every day. He's in the
Mhm.
classroom. He's participating in the music that you're creating.
Yes, he has been when he was about a year and a half old, he got certified as a therapy dog
Hmm.
through Bright and Beautiful Therapy Dogs Incorporated. And that September, he began working in school. I asked my administration, therapy dogs in schools are nothing new, but full-time therapy dogs are rare.
Hmm.
Usually it's volunteers that come in, the kids sit with the dogs and they read to them, and it helps in a vast number of ways. But I asked my administration about bringing Cole in like once or twice a week, and they
Hmm.
were all about it. And literally the very first day of school, Cole came in. We had a kindergarten kid who threw himself onto the floor, would not come in. And it took two principals, a guidance counselor, his teacher, a social worker, and the school security guard, and couldn't get the kid off the floor. And it took Cole about 40 seconds
And it was
to
that
get the
paw.
kid.
I think I read that online.
Yep.
He
Yep. He
it was
literally put his
paw.
paw on the kid's hand, laid down next to him. The little boy reached out. I handed him the leash, and the little boy walked to class. And since then, every day, the little boy's become one of my ambassadors for kids who are a little bit scared. So that whole concept of only bringing them 1 or 2 days a week lasted literally 24 hours, because the next day they're like, you do realize he has to come every day, right? So
I
he
love
started
that.
working in schools, and
And
then
that power of touch, right? The power of him being there to make that connection
mhm.
with your student. And I also saw in your videos and broadcasts that you have a hug store. Well, I call it the hug store, but you have the hug dog house, and Cole waits there to give hugs and greets the students with hugs every morning. How powerful is a hug for you?
I greet my students at my door before Cole started working with me, and I always said hugs or handshakes. They can have their choice that day.
Mhm.
I teach in a very socio-economically challenged area in southern New Jersey. A lot of my students don't have the best lives, and quite frankly, don't know the last time that my students may have received a hug from someone that cares about them.
Yes.
So to be able to have Cole waiting outside of my music room door or waiting at the bus door where hundreds of children come in every day, he's literally the first thing that they see. So they come off the bus. His little dog house has interchangeable signs. So one day it says "I care about you," another day it says "free hugs," "free high fives." Can you give me a kiss or something like that? I forget the
Mhm.
last sign says. There's four of them, and each day we kind of flip them into a different spot. I put the doghouse into different locations, so it's it never becomes stagnant. But to watch the way that they perk up the instant that they come into school, it starts their day off in a really positive way, and it works for the staff too, because he runs around in the mornings before the kids get here, and he visits people, and he gets snacks from this one and peanut butter from this one. He has the whole office trained
Mhm.
about his favorite cookies and Cheez-Its. So
I can't blame him. Who doesn't love Cheez-Its?
yeah, the one secretary gives him Cheez-Its. I love it. He gets one Cheez-It a day, so a pack lasts a while.
So
But
you've
it
known
just
Cole for how long?
we're coming up on his 6th anniversary, and
Mhm.
he's been working in school. This is his 5th school year.
So you've been working in school for 20 years, and thank you for that, because
Thank
I'm
you.
a big advocate of the arts, of course, and it's always one of the first things that gets cut in schools often. So
Yes.
so happy that there's still great teachers like you out there teaching the arts and by the way of music. But I want to know, what are the changes from when you started working 20 years ago for the first 15 years and then when Cole came into the classroom?
Cole came into the classroom at a very monumental time, I like to say. I've noticed, and I don't know exactly what the key factor is, and I speak to a lot of my music teacher friends, and we're all kind of in the same boat, that we don't know if it's the day and age of social media, if it's what the kids are watching, but kids they have a big inhibition of putting themselves out there and
Mm,
expressing their creativity.
mhm.
Not that they're not creative, because they are, but they keep it bottled up in a different way.
Internal creativity.
It is, because they're afraid of what the comment that's going to be written, or they're worried about the judgment of the person sitting next to them. And that was something that I never really felt like I had to face as much. There would always be like one or two kids in class who were shy, but the majority, and 95% of them, would express and just be open about everything. And I've noticed a decline over the years that students are becoming more and more reserved about wanting to express that creativity and that imagination. So when Cole came in, I started to notice that walls were pulling down in my classroom. And that's why we have it. It means a number of things, but the students know when they enter my room, and they can tell you that we call it the kind of the acceptance avenue. So no matter what, everyone is accepted in here.
Mhm.
So it's all about having mistakes, making mistakes, learning from them. It's always a mistake. It's okay to make a mistake. It's a mistake not to try, but it's, getting kids to open up themselves and realize that you're not necessarily going to be judged. And we
Mhm.
hope that Cole's giving them this little bit of courage. So
Mhm.
we do a thing called Star to Be Studio, where I block off part of my room and I take kids who are extremely shy, and I have this elaborate system of headphones with wires. Honestly, a lot of it's hot glued
Mhm.
and super glued, but it goes into this little box, and
Mhm.
they're called Cole's Magic Headphones. And it's got a magic microphone, and the kids sing into it. Cole can process what they're singing into this magic microphone because he wears the headphones.
Mhm.
So the kids will sit there and they'll pick their favorite song, whatever it may be. And these kids who are so shy about everybody else, all of a sudden now they are just belting it out, and
Mhm.
they are singing with every bit of emotion that they have. I had a little boy who barely ever speaks. And right before the world of COVID started, this little boy, Daniel, barely ever talked. I see you. And he decided that he wanted to sing Bohemian Rhapsody.
Mhm.
And the child sang the entire song
Wow,
and
that's
knew
a hard
every
song
word.
too.
And this kid, and I was floored, and his classmates, because he's behind a wall, they can't see him, but he was singing so loudly that the class was like flabbergasted that this was happening.
Mm.
So, it's bringing down inhibitions, and it's breaking barriers for kids to believe in who they are. In a
Mhm.
time and a day and age that's tough to be a kid, because it is about the number of likes that they get, or what the comments say on the post that they may have put out there on YouTube or TikTok or whatever it may be.
Mhm. And there is
You
so
know,
much judgment, and that's what makes it so hard growing up now, with everything
yes,
really accessible online. But Cole
right,
brings that non-judgment into their lives, and how beautiful of you to share that they can feel what it feels like to not be judged. And the beauty of
exactly,
that is when they learn that they don't have to allow people to judge them, or it really doesn't ultimately matter. That's the biggest gift they can actually have in life, because they're going to be able to open up and do anything they want because they're not going to worry about being judged.
exactly. And it's so empowering to hear when I have a parent that will reach out, or a family member of a student will reach out, and how that student, and I'm never about students correcting their adults in their
Mhm.
lives, but sometimes it's empowering when a student will correct a family member, an older family member, about something such as acceptance.
Mhm.
And the parent will reach out and say, you know what, my kid kind of said, I'm using the wrong words, and I'm not as kind to certain kind of people as I should be. And I used to think of people differently, but now Cole has even taught me as an adult that I need to be more of an open book, and
Mhm.
more accepting. To hear that happening with adults, but the children have become the teachers, and they're taking his message and they're changing lives. So it's this giant trickle effect.
It
So
is.
they're able to leave my classroom, and then it's building blocks. So it leaves my classroom, and that goes to their classroom. And that
Mhm.
might go to the playground, and then it might go to the buses. And then from the buses, it goes to the neighborhood, it goes to the house. And that's what we're hoping, that our message goes viral within my school community, as we kind of like to say, and it's just different. It's a different way of doing it, and it's being so effective because it is so different than what any of them. We could talk about these topics all we want as humans, but until somebody does something that clicks the light bulb and it says, "Wow, now it makes sense." And that's what's happening with our journey with Cole when we travel to schools and these programs. Kids are piecing their own life puzzle together, and they're able to answer and put those pieces together and answer their own life questions. And it's sticking with them because they're looking through the lens of his eyes and learning from it. So it's special to watch. It's special to be around it every day.
And what's even more powerful is that he can't hear what they're saying. He can't respond to them, but yet they're responding to him. It's so powerful. How many lives do you think he has touched?
So we're going into our fourth, we call it the kindness tour. We started it, our third kindness tour. We started it in the summer of 2020. And we started traveling to schools in 2019. So we just went through our 22nd thousand trading card. So every child that we meet when we go to a school, or every program that we do in a community, or every facility that we might visit, every person that meets Cole or pets Cole gets a Cole trading card. And we have now hit over 20,000 of those trading cards that we have handed out to people.
Wow. And then with the trickle down effect, who knows how many people, and I know he has 82,000 followers on Instagram or something of that nature, if I'm correct.
It keeps growing. We just hit 100,000 on Facebook, and we're getting close to 200,000 on TikTok.
Hats off to you, Chris. You're doing a fantastic job. So I know he does sign language. Are you willing to share any of that with us? And how many signs is he responsive to?
He actually may run over and get his little treat jar over here. He is knows around 30. My wife and I were trying to figure it out the other day. It's somewhere around 30 commands. A lot of them are working commands that I don't even realize that I'm necessarily using when I'm communicating with them. Like simple ones like sit, stay, lay, drive, ball, outside, bathroom, water, eat, treats, apple, because he's obsessed with apples. The hardest one for him to ever learn was speak, because as a puppy, he did not talk at all. He didn't bark. We like to call it talking in our house because our dogs are deaf, but he really didn't talk at all unless he wanted to like come inside or he was playing. So I wanted to teach him how to speak, and it took like 9 months. I think we figured 8 to 9 months. And then one day the light bulb off, he did it. And I came to school and the kids had never heard him bark, but I was so excited to share it with him. So he was standing in the hallway and all of a sudden Cole barked. And when he barked, the whole place, like teachers were peeking their head out of the doors. The principal came out. She's like, "Is everything okay?" The security guard walked out and I'm like, "Guys, watch this new trick." So it was kind of like, nobody had heard him make any noise.
Taking their first steps, right?
Exactly. And it was just really, really cute. So, Cole, can you talk to me? Yes.
Yes.
You're a good boy.
Okay.
So it was like, that's kind of been his go-to claim to fame in his own sort of way. But he, it's a lot of them are like working commands and stuff like that. He does other tricks and stuff when we're doing school assemblies that kind of, we do it at the beginning and at the end. But he faces a lot of adversity, and he does, because of his deafness and because he's a pit bull mix. So the stuff that we have to deal with on that end is pretty crazy some days, but it's all part of our journey. And it's all about teaching kids about adversity. And when certain organizations come after us every time we're on national media, anti-pit bull organizations will come out after us. And all I do is I turn it around and I talk to children and I make it kid-friendly ways about how Cole is being bullied because of the cover that he was born with. And
that's true.
It's changing the way that they think about bullying. It's changing the way and they get so upset that people are picking on their Cole.
Mhm.
He is their dog, and they take fur off my carpet in the music room, and they stick it in their pockets pretty much every day because they want to take Cole home with them.
Oh, how
So,
cute.
it's the cutest thing, but like
He's the
they
magic
get upset.
man. Yes.
Yeah. They get upset because he is that important to them. And now we have Cece, his sister, who's another deaf pit bull mix.
Mhm.
She is a certified therapy dog in our school as well. And then we have Alice, who is another deaf pit bull that we got almost a year ago. It's
Mhm.
about 10 months ago. And she was born with a cleft palate, one eye, and is also deaf. So I showed a picture of her in class, and the very first day that I showed it, there was a little girl who had cleft palate surgery when she was a child,
Mhm.
and stood up in front of the class and told the whole class about her cleft palate surgery. So kids are finding empowerment behind these four-legged friends.
Four-legged friends who are super special. And so I know that Cole has taught so many different lessons between acceptance and compassion and kindness and love. And um, even now we're learning that he's teaching, about bullying and teaching
Mhm.
children to no longer bully. He has done how many shows? I mean, you've taken him to so many assemblies throughout New Jersey or throughout the US.
We basically do the tri-state area.
Mhm,
So we've been in New York, New Jersey, PA, Delaware, Maryland. We were down in Florida.
mhm.
Um, a part of our goal for the Cole the Deaf Dog and Friends Foundation is to be able to tour, and we get offers from all over the country. But I am a full-time teacher,
Yes.
um, so that is something that is a big time goal of our foundation, is to allow me and Cole to be able to do that touring and take that opportunity while that opportunity exists.
So that is
And
what's next for you and Cole.
in our hopes, yes, because we think that his message is, and only because of the feedback that we receive from literally every school that we step foot
Mhm.
in, that it's impacting. I have families that still reach out, and they know when Cole's birthday is because I was at their children's school in 2019, where I did a virtual presentation for them in 2020, and they know that it was his birthday, so they wanted to send them a birthday card, or and these are kids that the beauty of COVID was we were able to reach nationwide with our virtual presentations. We did virtual presentations in Southern California to Maine to Miami, Florida, and everywhere in between. So, we were able to reach so many people in that aspect, which was fantastic. So we
Mhm.
literally have kids from all over our country that are, that they're sticking behind Cole's message and Cole's story. And now with Alice and Cece too.
So what is Cole's overarching message?
Our over our biggest thing is we always use the tagline, a disability is not an inability. It's a
Mhm,
superpower.
mhm,
So just yesterday, we were with special education students for Read Across America. We went and read to 4 different special education classes on varying levels. And to watch them perk up when he just walks into the room, but
mhm,
the little boy who was in a wheelchair, that all he wanted was to be able to hug Cole, but he could not come to the floor to hug Cole. Cole jumped right up in a chair, sat right next to the young man, and literally just leaned in together. And they shared a very monumental moment. Um, for those kids to realize they have an advocate, but it's a different kind of advocate.
mhm,
So I was lucky enough in my life that I had heroes growing up. And I think that's a lost art form of children truly believing in heroes.
mhm,
And they can have a hero, and a hero is going to care for them just the way that they care for that hero.
mhm,
And that's where Cole comes in. And he is a real life hero to so many of these children. And, to show them that just because they were born with a disability, they can turn that disability into something very special, and embrace their disability and
mhm,
make it their own, and that's what makes them so unique and so special. But
mhm.
once they understand how special they truly are, the possibilities are endless for them.
Mhm.
within themselves. And that's the most important part, is within yourself. And it's amazing how a deaf shelter dog has taught me that about my own personality and my own desires for life.
Always been a hero for you as well.
He has no idea. Between him and my nephew, they have no idea what they've taught me in life.
That is so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing your story and bringing Cole on today. Can you tell the audience where they can find you and find more about Cole and how they can make a donation to your foundation?
Sure. The easiest way is to visit our website at www.colethedeafdog.com.
Mhm.
It can link you to all of our social media. It will link you to our foundation's website, and you can watch some of our national media links. We were just on NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt a few weeks ago. As you said earlier, Rachel Ray Show, Access Hollywood, Entertainment Tonight, Good Morning America. Like it's incredible. Like it's still very surreal to me. Um, our Instagram, our Facebook, and our YouTube is all Cole the Deaf Dog, and our TikTok is Deaf Cole.
This is fantastic. Thank you for all of the work that you're doing. Please, everyone, go check out Cole the Deaf Dog. Get on there. He loves you. I love you. Chris Hanna loves you. And if you'd like to book him, I'm sure that you can book him to come to your school or your event online, I imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Before I let you go, I always ask all of my guests one question as a country music singer songwriter. I guess we'll ask Cole first, but you're going to have to answer for him. And then I'd love to find out what your answer is as well. What is the one song that speaks to Cole's heart and sums up the essence of his being?
Cole's, I still get choked up. Beautiful Boy by John Lennon.
Oh my gosh, I
Um,
can't believe you just said that.
the movie Mr. Holland's Opus. When I was in college to become a music teacher, I was in music school.
Mhm,
Mr. Holland's Opus was just out,
mhm,
and the struggles of fighting to be a music teacher and working hard and persevering through
mhm,
your musical career and everything. That movie really rang true with me. But then with him having a deaf son
mhm.
and him trying to be a music teacher, I had no idea what my world was going to become. Then when I met Harry Potter was his name. Um, in the movie, he sang, Mr. Holland sang to his son and signed to his son, Beautiful Boy.
Mhm.
And one of the first videos I ever made with Cole, and I taught my students the song, was Beautiful, Beautiful, Beautiful Boy.
I
So
love
it was,
that song, and actually, I want to share with you. So, if you can stick around after I conclude the podcast, I want to share a really special story with you in regards to that song. It's probably going to make you cry.
oh,
Um,
great.
we don't make you cry here. So, what about you? And I know you're a Jersey boy, so don't tell me my way. I don't want to hear that again from another Jersey boy.
No, not at all. Mine is tough because I love so many different genres of music. I was kind of a jazz guy. I was a trombone major in
Mhm,
college, and there was one piece of music by Antoine Dvorak called the New World Symphony, and
mhm,
particularly the fourth movement. So when I was in college and I was in the orchestra, it was a very monumental song for me, and it really empowered my musical career. And it
mhm.
was just like it's a very simple melody. The melody is actually tattooed on my arm, the main line.
Really?
um, and it really rang true with me and still does. So even after being out of college for 22 years, I still, if I'm having a day, I will go back to that song and
Mhm.
just listen to the fourth movement, and I can snap out of whatever is going on in my brain. Um, so that, but then I have like, I'm a huge James Brown fan. Um,
Hard
I,
not to love James Brown.
I'm a guy, like I love so many different genres of music, but I'd have to say overall, New World Symphony, movement number four.
What do you think about country?
You know what? I've actually grown more and more fond of it. I grew up with my father listening to Gene Autry and
Mhm.
Hank Williams Sr. my dad listened to the honky tonk of country.
Yeah.
So, I grew up listening, to Dolly and so many old school artists on his old Victrola I will never forget. And I don't want to say it drove me crazy as a 10-year-old kid, but everybody else is listening to like Nirvana and Stone Temple Pilots.
Yeah.
So, but I kind of got changed around. Years ago, I saw Montgomery Gentry in concert, and they kind of made me start like really appreciating country music in a different sort of way. So I've kind of it's on my playlists.
So
It
you're
it
turning into
definitely
your
is.
father. Is that what you're saying?
Like I kind of like Hank Williams. I'm not gonna lie. I like the outlaw thing about him. You know,
Hmm.
and
One of
then
the best.
yeah, and like his grandson now.
Mhm.
My tattoo artist actually turned me on to Hank Williams III. And like some of his stuff, I'm like, wow, he sounds just like his grandfather. Sounds nothing like his dad, but he sounds like his grandfather. So it's kind of funny how it kind of ended up that way. But I do appreciate it.
I
You
say
know,
everyone eventually arrives to country music.
you kind of have to like,
Great stories as well as your story. Your story is fantastic, and thank you so much for sharing it today. Please
absolutely,
do stay on, though.
yeah,
Please continue to share that message of living and loving and acceptance and inclusion and anti-bullying. These are all such great, important messages, especially in the time that we're living in now. So, from the words of Chris Hanna and Cole, get out there and just follow where the universe takes you. Don't make a plan, because I know that's what happened in this destined connection with Cole the dog with the superpowers. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Monique McCall, country music singer, songwriter, recording artist. And please do go make a donation to Cole the deaf dog so they can get out on that tour and they can share this message in a bigger, broader way. Everyone have a beautiful, blessed day. I'll see you real soon. Love y'all.
Don't miss a chance to share a smile, a chance to stay for just a little while, a second chance to change your